December was the best reading month for me of the whole of 2025, and I want to recommend you all of those books. Hello everyone, Mariah here and welcome back to my channel, and most importantly, Happy New Year! Honestly, can't get over the fact that it's 2026. So many books, not enough time. But I hope 2026 blesses you with some fantabulous reads and great experiences. Now, for some people, their best reading months could be because of the fact that they have read their most amount of books in a particular month. It could also be that they've discovered some of their favorite books in a month. But for me, December was hands down my best month of 2025, purely just because I got to dabble in amongst so many different genres and I thoroughly enjoyed every single book that I read. So I wanted to recommend all of those books to you, and I thought I would do a little bit of a December wrap up and give you some insights into what I read, because even if I can just encourage you to put one of these books on your TBR, I feel like I've been successful. I read 5 books in the month of December, which really blew me away, purely just because I was so incredibly busy, yet it was also one of the months I've read the most books. No idea how I did that one. I read 1 Christmas murder mystery, 2.5 Christmas classics because I am still only halfway through my 3rd one, a book about video games, which is kind of like a businessy type book, and a Christmas horror as well. So as you can see, quite the genre selection. So get comfy, get cozy, and let me recommend you some fantabulous books. This was such an easy read because it was less than 200 pages, so I had a blast with this one. This was actually the first book I've ever finished in one sitting as well. Now, I have read a few and seen quite a lot of Christmas Cluedo-style murder mystery books, but what I find so unique about this one is that the main characters in the story are actually based off the real-life people who invented the board game Cluedo. So the characters are based off the creators, but then obviously the story is fictional. I personally just found that so interesting because I thought it added a nice little unique touch to the whole story. So in this book, we follow the couple who host murder mystery weekends at hotels, and they are going to go and host one for Christmas. But when they go on their travels, they are now a part of an actual murder mystery, so they have to postpone their mystery weekend and actually kind of, well, be a part of one instead. I just had such an easy time with this one. It's one of those books where you can just curl up on the sofa with a good cuppa and just be lost away in a really easy story. Loved this setting as well. It's set during the 1940s, obviously at Christmas, and it's just got that really kind of vintage, authentic feeling to it. Really loved the characters as well. For one, they are just such a lovely couple. But what I loved most is the fact that you are just following an average couple, whereas murder mysteries that I've read in the past, you're typically following detectives. I feel like the emotions that you're getting in the story are how people would genuinely react, because detectives can be a little bit stone cold when it comes to murder mysteries sometimes. The pacing, in my opinion, was fantastic as well. It's not so quick to the point where you feel like it's just flying through it, but it's not so enough to bore you, and it's not one of those where you have to wait ages and ages in a standalone before something starts kicking off. The only thing I really have to say about this book is that it's very much marketed as a cozy murder mystery. However, I would say that applies to probably only 50% of the book. As soon as you start to uncover what's really going on behind the murders, things get quite dark, and those cozy vibes are very much not around anymore. You'll see for yourself what I mean if you were to read this book, but it just had a complete shift in mood. I would argue that the second half is not cozy, but the first half, with the winter themes and the coziness of the hotel and the Christmas festivities and all that sort of stuff, that I can get behind. But just be prepared for a little bit of a shake-up. But overall, would still very much recommend giving it a go. Now, this was such a nostalgic read. Oh my goodness. It's all about Nintendo and how they came about to be such a successful company, and it dives into the worlds and the characters and the consoles that they've created. Even if you're not a gamer, I think you would still find this book very interesting and would appreciate it. But if, like me, and you are a gamer and you are a huge Nintendo fan, then I would 100% recommend adding this to your TBR this year. It is so much fun to read. I have been playing Nintendo games since I was really, really little, and The Legend of Zelda is my all-time favorite video game franchise, and I grew up on Mario and Kirby and Animal Crossing and all those type of games. And this book was just such a trip down memory lane as well. There was so much nostalgia in this book. I absolutely loved it. One thing I really loved about this book is you can clearly see how much research has gone into writing this book. There are so many facts and statistics in there, and you can clearly see that the author has so much passion in their writing as well. I love how the author also added in their kind of own personal touch in there as well, and spoke about their own experiences and the games they played growing up as well. It was just so wholesome. And reading this book really did just make me appreciate just how hard it is to make video games and just how much Nintendo have actually gone through as a company. And I loved reading about how they all come together and help each other to create video games and characters and share ideas. It's so wholesome. The author as well has also put a lot of the interviews that they've had in there with people from Nintendo. And I just think that's so incredible, because that's kind of the equivalent to meeting maybe one of your favorite authors. Like, it's just such an incredible experience. I would absolutely love to do that. It's split into different segments. So there's like Zelda, Kirby, Animal Crossing, Metroid, all that sort of stuff. And I actually got really emotional when it came to the Animal Crossing section, because it does dive into a lot about how Animal Crossing helped so many of us during lockdown and allowed us to socialize with people all over the world and our friends and family during a time where we could not do that face to face. And I don't know about you, but I played Animal Crossing so much in lockdown. And another thing I really enjoyed about this book is the fact that it almost gave me a break from reading, even though I was technically still reading, because I wasn't necessarily following a particular character or a particular story and I didn't have to use my brain. It was a really nice break from the typical genres that I do read. And I just want to say a huge thank you as well to the publishers, Faber, for sending me a copy of this, because oh my goodness, I thoroughly enjoyed this read. And if you are interested in this book and you want to pick it up, it actually comes out next month. Just in case you didn't see my previous videos, I decided in the month of December to create a Christmas classic TBR, where I basically read a bunch of books that are set around Christmas time. And in total, I chose 3 books, but the first one I finished was A Christmas Carol. I hate to admit it, but I had never actually read the book or seen the movie literally up until this year. I know, you can judge me. If you haven't read this book yet, please, please, please put this on your Christmas TBR next year. And it's less than 100 pages. Bloody love that. It's about a character called Ebenezer Scrooge, and you're probably familiar with that name, but he is basically a very grumpy and very just unhappy man, and literally no one wants anything to do with him really, because he just brings so many people down. And he basically gets visited by a bunch of ghosts, and they take him through his past, his present and his future, and take him on this huge trip down memory lane. And they also show him what's going to happen to him if he doesn't end up changing his ways. I love books that have really meaningful messages behind them, and despite the fact that this is a very festive and Christmassy read and is very well known at Christmas, it really does have deep messages, because he's experiencing the happy times, the sad times, the hard times, the lonely times, and then he sees everything in the future as well. It just makes him realize about things that he needs to do differently, and he shouldn't be treating people the way that he treats people. And of course, being Christmas time, it's that time of year where everyone's more merry and more happier and all that sort of stuff. I think it's definitely going to be up there as one of my favorite classics. The only thing I will say is there were quite a few times where I couldn't quite understand the language and what was being said. It was a tiny bit complex here and there, but that is something I was expecting, especially with classics. You still get the overall messages and story, so that's all I cared about. Definitely recommend adding this to your Christmas TBR next year. This was such a beautiful and nostalgic read. This story really encapsulates those feelings of a really heartwarming and memorable and nostalgic childhood Christmas. You know, when you look back to Christmas as a kid and you feel like it was a time where it was always snowing and there was loads of festivities going on. This book really captures all of that. Really nice and cozy read. And again, less than 100 pages, so you'll fly through this book. I really enjoyed how nostalgic this book was. I've used that word a lot, I'm really sorry. It's about a child experiencing Christmas in Wales, and it's all about kind of homely festivities, food, presents, caroling, all that sort of stuff. And I don't know about you, but Christmas doesn't feel as festive compared to when you were a kid. So being able to read this book, it kind of took you back in time and allowed you to feel the ways you felt as a kid at Christmas. And the version that I read as well also had really beautiful illustrations in there as well. Again, there were a few points where I couldn't quite figure out what was being said or the meaning behind the messages. But overall, really easy to read, really quick. I literally finished it in what, like an hour, if that. But it was really wholesome, really sweet and really nostalgic. Give it a read. And then finally, to finish off the Christmas festivities, I had an ARC very kindly sent to me by the author himself, and that was Humbug. And this was such a fun read. I've only ever read 2 horror books and both of them have actually been by David. So thank you, David. But horrors are actually my favorite movie genre, but I never really did pick up horrors because I always thought that movies were more immersive because obviously you're watching the actors, you can see the environment, you can hear the sounds and the music and all that sort of stuff. But David has very much actually proven to me that horror books can be so incredibly immersive if written well. Christmas, thrillers and horrors are all my favorite things, so put them all together, great read. This book is about a group of kids who are skiving school because, well, it's basically term time anyway for Christmas. But when they come out of the cinema, everyone's just vanished, like poof, gone. And they are very much confused. They can see that there was definitely elements of life literally mere seconds ago because there's coffee cups that are still steaming, there's bags and purses just lying around, and they're just like, what the heck is going on? And if that's not weird enough, there is also a murderous Santa and Mrs. Claus running around, so have fun, kids. I absolutely love the setting of this book because it's based in an abandoned mall and movie theatre, so you've kind of got that really eerie and creepy atmosphere. The pacing is really well done as well, especially the first half of the book. The pacing is done so well because I feel like it builds up enough tension in the story, but not so excessive to the point where you feel like it's just dragging and you want something to happen. The way things start unfolding are really creepy as well. And I love how the characters really have to work together and help one another as well. I just absolutely love David's writing. He writes his books so well and I just find them so incredibly immersive. When I'm reading, I always see them played out as movies in my head, but this one I genuinely could see it as a cinema movie, like 100%. The one thing I will say about this book, and this is a very personal opinion, I kind of wished it just stayed horror slasher the whole way through rather than adding elements of sci-fi in there as well. I am not the biggest fan of sci-fi, and having that genre shift kind of halfway through the book, it did make me feel like the second half wasn't as immersive as the first half. But like I said, that's just completely my opinion. If you love sci-fi, you'll probably enjoy the whole thing. Like I said, I absolutely loved the murderous Santa and Mrs. Claus and how chaotic it all was. All of that was really, really fun, and watching people having to hide and look at how they handled the situations and what they would actually do in the moment. Loved the characters, great concept, loved the setting, so much fun to read. Like I said, just had a bit of a genre shift that wasn't quite for me, but overall would still 100% recommend giving this a go. And this is now out, so feel free to add this to your TBR and also your Christmas TBR next year. So I haven't quite finished this book yet, but I wanted to include it in this video because it is part of my classic Christmas TBR. And I just know for a fact it's gonna be a 5-star read for me by the end of it. If I could convince you to read any of the classics that I've read so far, it is hands down this one. Please, please, please add this to your 2026 TBR. I beg you. Little Women is actually my second favorite movie of all time under the Lord of the Rings movies. But I always thought I would be one of those people who couldn't read the book and watch the movie because I thought they would just be too similar. But this is actually a perfect example of a book that actually is missing quite a lot out of the movie, and it's been so interesting reading about all of those parts and kind of seeing the differences between the two. This book is actually so inspirational to me that this is the first book I have ever tabbed and annotated. I have tabbed in the past, but I have never highlighted or annotated because I am that obsessed with this book. I absolutely love wholesome and inspirational books, especially ones that have a lot of deep meanings behind all of the messages, and this book does exactly that. It follows the story of 4 sisters during the Civil War, and they are experiencing quite bad poverty, and we see these sisters navigate their teenage years and going into early womanhood. And all of these sisters have dreams and aspirations, but they don't quite, feel like they will ever be able to achieve those dreams because of being quite poor. We do get to see a lot of the struggles that they go through, but also how they overcome these struggles as well. But their mum is trying to consistently remind them of the good things that they have in their lives and the things that they should be appreciative of. It is so beautifully written, and one thing I absolutely love about this book is it is not a complex read. So unlike the other 2 that I've read so far, there's not been a point at all in the story where I've gone, wait, what is this message saying? Like, what does this mean? It's so cleanly written, and it really is one of those books that just makes you appreciate all the things that you have in your life. It really is such an inspiring book, and if I can convince anyone to add this to their TBR, I will keep on trying. This is definitely going to be an above and beyond book for me, so essentially like a 6-star read, but I honestly have been enjoying every single second. And it's one of those books that I really do want to keep going back to as well. But I'm also taking my time with it and just really enjoying it for what it is and the experience that I'm getting from it. And I think that's when you know you found a good book, when you feel that way. So I am really excited to finish this one. And that is my December wrap up complete. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope I have inspired you to put one of these books on your TBR. Let me know in the comments what your favorite read of December was, and if you are going to add any of these to your TBR for 2026. Got some really fun videos coming out in the month of January as well. Got my January reset video, which is going to be coming out next, which is going to be a little bit of a bookshelf reorganization, what I got for Christmas, and my January TBR. Also going to be doing a bookish goal video for 2026, and I've also got a best books of 2025 video planned, as well as things I am leaving behind in 2026. So yeah, very busy, but a really exciting month. I'm really looking forward to it. So stay tuned for those, and hopefully I will see you there. Bye.